Hello everyone, Alex here from Beaglington-On-Sea, and welcome to Coireán, my engaged, Irish-inspired model railway. Well, project. At the moment it's just a board. But this series is basically going to cover the building of this model railway, and hopefully it will work out fine. But for now, I suppose, we'll have to make a start. So yes, as I mentioned in a previous video of Beaglington-On-Sea, I am going to be turning this former breadboard, this is it upside down, from Brennan's bread, which I found in a shed at work and asked if I could take home for this purpose, or rather for a model railway purpose. I'm going to turn this into a Cato Unitrack model railway, and it's going to be Irish inspired, based on the village that I live in, which doesn't have a railway. But I'm just supposing maybe that it did, and I'm going to try and sort of squish a few things from the village, a few elements, into the model railway. But in this episode, I've got to turn this board into something that I can actually build the model railway on, which basically means chopping up one or two pieces of wood and attaching them to it to make a frame, because at the moment there's nothing here, you see, so it's a bit sort of floppy in the middle. But I've got some pieces of wood over on my desk that I'm going to cut up and hopefully stick across, and I'll just see if I've got some nails or something to hammer in rather than screwing it, because it's constructed with nails already. And hopefully that will make it strong enough to build the model railway on. So yeah, let's get cracking. So essentially in this episode we're going to be making the sort of supports for the baseboard, and then when I've got that done, if it goes well, we can actually elaborate on the theme of the layout and the stuff that's going to be on it. So I've got those two pieces of wood, and I've got my baseboard here, so I'm just going to shut that over there and rest that on my chair, as you can see. So we have got these pieces of wood, and of course they are too long, so we'll have to mark on those where they need to be cut. So I will just go and grab a pencil. That will do. And we can see that it roughly needs to be about there and there. Just try to make sure it's straight. And then there, and that lines up. So, as you can see, it goes all the way around in the same place. And I can do the same for this one by just drawing the line across. So we go over there, over there, over there, and over there. And really, it doesn't matter too much if I cut too much off, because it would probably still be fine anyways. So now we have to cut those to shape. So here we have my trusty toolbox, and inside here hopefully we'll find what we need. Here it is, my junior hacksaw or whatever it is, or something like that. It's a saw of some description. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's been a long time since I was at school. So yes, what I'm going to do is cut it on my cutting mat, and then it should be easier to clean up the mess. Just move some of this stuff over here. So, seems to have worked quite well. Even smells likely of burning, weirdly. Right, so I'll just go and do that for the other one. So I've just finished sawing the second one. I'll just grab the layout board and pop it back on the chair, like so. There. Ding ding. And here we have the board. And that's pretty good. And I'll grab the other ones I popped over here. So yeah, they look like they're going to be a good fit. They are actually the same height as these bits of wood. See, they're pretty much the same. The only problem is that it's bowed so much in the middle from lack of support that when you try and put the wood in, it's actually pushing it back, but it will actually fit properly. So that's looking good. So before I actually fix those down, I'm going to turn the layout over and I'm going to set up the track plan and figure out if I'm going to need to put them in a certain position to avoid any wiring issues. Okay, so I have the track set up. This is roughly what it's going to look like, although that'll obviously be tucked in further there, whatever. So it's generally a rough idea, and as you can see, there's wire points here for this point, here for the power track, and we've got 1, 2, 3 over there for the points. And I think that I should be able to carry them across the layout and then all down to a single point. If I put them underneath the landscaping, if I just lay some paper or some masking tape over it and then do the scenery over the top and hope there are no further wiring problems. So if I test everything out. And then I won't have any problems with the two battens going across sort of there and there. If I drop all the wires, like if I just have like a sheet of something over the middle, everything's level before I start building the rest of the scenery, then it shouldn't be a problem. So what I'll do is I'll take the track off and I'll put the timbers in, hopefully. So I'll just take those off there and obviously explain more about the track that I'm using for those who don't know UV track, if you haven't come across it already, when I'm talking about what I'm going to do on the railway, planning wise. But yeah, essentially the plan is to have sort of like a village scene in the middle based on stuff from Waterville. Coireán, as the village name, means little whirlpool or little cauldron. So that's why I've used the Irish name, because it's an Irish themed layout, although some of my rolling stock might need to be repainted for that, I think. Or I might need to get some. But all this track here, this is all second-hand track from a previous layout that I had called Tongue's Valley. And so we're going to flip this up, and I'll go grab a hammer and some nails, and we'll get it assembled. So here I am on the green of the place that I'm basing my new layout on. So this is Waterville, or Coireán. Now Coireán is the original name of the place, or Coireán is the English translated on the maps, which I'll show you a little bit of that on the maps when we get home. But this is it, the little whirlpool, as Coireán means, but the village is actually called Waterville. And that's because, and I'll get some footage of it, over that side is a place called Waterville House, which was built by Whitwell Butler in the late 18th century. They think between 1775 and 1790. So that is actually over there. And eventually the townland sort of became called Waterville, I suppose, to the people coming here. But Coireán is the Irish name, and that's the one I've chosen for the layout. So as you can see in the distance on that side is Ballinskelligs across the bay. It's now usually called Ballinskelligs Bay. There's Carrigiana Rock on that side, and then over there is Hog's Head, where the golf course is named after. And over that side of the lake as well, there is a hotel called Hog's Head. Originally, well, before that it was the Southern Lake Hotel, before that it was the Hartop Arms. And over the other side, which you can't see, which I'll talk about in a different video, after the Musgrave Marketplace line goes by, is of course the Butler Arms Hotel. Or as I will say it again, and over that side is the Butler Arms Hotel, which I'll talk about in a different video. So yes, this is where the layout is essentially set. I'm just imagining a railway has come to this village. So as you can see, it's a lovely sunny day.
in September. I was out filming footage for the series yesterday, and it was very unpleasant. But today, you know, it's very strange the weather here. But as you can see, it's lovely today. So, yes, on Coireán, here it is. And now I'm gonna go up to Waterfall House and show you what that looks like. So yes, interestingly enough, there's actually a benchmark here on Waterfall Bridge itself, or the Coireán Bridge over the river, which is quite cool. I like finding benchmarks in different places. So yes, here's a nice tranquil view of the Waterfall Bridge, and it's said that some of the stone from this bridge was actually cut. There's a wedge cut out of one of the standing stones at Coireán, which is further up the road, and that apparently someone was cutting stone from it in order to make the bridge and were promptly stopped. So that building over in the distance is where the Southern Lake Hotel used to be, and that is in fact now Hog's Head. But that is where the Hartop Arms Hotel used to be on this side of town, or village. Part of why I've decided to do my railway here is also because I can guarantee there's going to be a lot of passenger traffic on my railway. Have you seen the amount of tourists that come here? So yeah, plenty of people in the modern age to be travelling on my railway. So before I hand back to myself building the supports for the baseboard, we have this old map from 1811. Now this was by Alexander Nimmo when they were underdoing the surveys of the bogs. So here we have Waterfall House, and the Coireán Bridge, or the Waterfall Bridge, and the Salmon Weir that was there, and the loch, which is called Loch Coireán, but it was called something else before that. And it's Bay of Ballinskilligs is here. You've got Ballinskilligs and Hog's Head, and you can see there are a few houses, if I focus, starting to form in the village itself, but nothing really out. Like this is where the Smugglers Beach is, and the golf links are over this way. They're not there yet, obviously, because it's 1811. But yeah, the road doesn't go any further on the south side of the river, and you know the place was still kind of known as sort of, it wasn't really Waterville, it was just Waterville House. But if we go over to the modern map, you can see that we have Waterville here, and you know the road keeps going. So there's the grey bit also, I mean this is very badly filmed by me, is showing you all the different amount of town that's grown up. And when Nimmo was around, they had looked at putting in, I don't know why it keeps not focusing on the map, there we go, a navigation between the Inny River and Valencia. I assume that means like a canal or something. But the railway eventually came down to Caersaveen and down to Renard Point, and I'm assuming that maybe, just maybe, my railway could have continued on the same sort of route that he wanted his navigation to take, and then came in somewhere over here. So my idea is that there's plenty of tourist traffic, and I don't know, there's sheep and various other things that would have been transported, and hopefully it would have made more traffic, which would have kept the Caersaveen branch, or the Farrenford branch, open. And so that's basically my my fictionalization of the railway's history. It's coming down here, basically. So anyways, I'll hand over to myself again at the stage where I'm going to hammer some nails.
Okay, so it's upright, and like I say, if I space these timbers sort of evenly along here, you can see that it's trying to push it out because the top is so warped. And I've got some small nails like this, which in theory could reach there, but I don't think that they will. So I'll have to wind that TV aside. It's not working, it's broken. I have got in my toolbox some big nails. The only problem is they're really big. So I'm going to try and hammer this into it, and we'll have a go. And if I only succeed in hammering a hole, I can just put a screw into it, I suppose. We'll just get that in at the bottom. Or rather, I only need it in at the top there. And now I need to get my hammer. Right, what could possibly go wrong here, I wonder? So just get that there. We'll just hammer this in a minute. Okay. Okay, so I've got my hammer, and I'm going to put the board there for now, and say that I want the timber about there. Seems the right sort of space. So I want to put the nail about there, where that line is. So I'll just make it there. Let's see if this will go in. Hopefully it's not too big for the wood, because I don't want it to split the wood. Right, let's give this a go. Now, as you might have seen from my previous exploits, I'm not the most practical DIY person. But that seems to have worked. So I just turn that way up and go like that. Right, that is that in. It's looking good. Now, to get the other one. So that's in there, I think. And that always is already not falling out because the other one has now straightened to the top of the board. So we go about there. Line that up in the middle. That'll do for now. There we go. And then at the other end. Oops, very good. Just put that back in there. Typical. It's going all very well until the last one. Just keeps falling out of place. There we go. There. Ah. Might have split the wood a bit. I'll put a bit of tape over it. It'll be fine. It's gonna have legs anyways. Right, so there we have our frame added with just 2 nails. One sticking out a bit, but it'll be alright. So it's going to be a fairly rough done project. There's the top. It's now a bit more level. We might even be able to get some legs or something for this to stand on, or some sort of frame at some point. And then obviously on the ends you can actually see, if it's in focus enough, you can see that there's Brennan's on the end. I think I've shown that on an episode before. There's a bit of hair or something attached to that. But yeah, that's the board ready. So next time, I suppose, I'll show you more of sort of the design and the plan and everything, and maybe see if the track works, because otherwise it'll all be wasted. But for now, that's the end of this episode of Coireán, the Irish uni-track engage inspired thing. And thank you very much for watching. Oh, and don't forget, there's also the subscribe bubble or the playlist thing. But until next time, thanks and goodbye.